Flying away, flying away.
With change comes remembrance of those pioneers that took the opportunity to look at their dreams and fulfill them in aviation. The first powered flight of the Wright brothers on December 17th, 1903 occurred. So there's been significant changes over the years that we have witnessed in aviation. We've gone from that first powered flight in 1903 to the first jet engine produced in 1930, the first jet-propelled aircraft in 1939, and then space exploration. We've gone from that to commercial space travel with Blue Origin. Everybody is aware of that, being in the papers most recently, to the dawn of the first electric-powered and hybrid-powered aviation. So when we really think about aviation at this airport, we really think about aviation within the state of Massachusetts, it's very broad, and it really started with a dream. And Boardman and Polando obviously had that dream. They had a love for the Cape, they had a love for this area, to the point that they even named their aircraft the Cape Cod. So with that change comes, not forgetting those pioneers and making sure that we remember who they are, both on this airfield and within this terminal.
The Cape Cod connection. Russ Boardman was born in Connecticut in 1898 with a family home on Bass River here in South Yarmouth. And in 1930, he was airport manager for a year. Johnny Palando was born in Lynn in 1901, and he flew out of Cape Cod Airport over at Marston's Mills, the grass airfield. He retired to Cape Cod in '72 and spent his days here at Hyannis Airport. He did everything that allowed him to fly, banner tows, charters, you name it. Both these aviators considered this airport as their home base.
And this Hyannis Airport is a fine-looking airport to us.
They trained on the Cape for their record-breaking flight. It was originally named the American Legion, but they changed it because this was the place they loved. In 1981, on the 50th anniversary of their flight, the Barnstable Municipal Airport added Boardman Polando Airfield to its name. And it's honor of these two aviators and great friends who love the Cape and live to fly. Today, on the 90th anniversary of their record-breaking flight, this airport dedicates this terminal in their name. So as of today, this is now Russell Boardman John Polando Terminal at the Cape Cod Gateway Airport. But in the summer of 1931, the world was captivated with the accomplishment.
And they're off into the murky morning for Turkey, 5,000 miles away, man's longest flight.
On July 28th, happens to be today, 1931, the two friends and pilots, they took off from Floyd Bennet Field in New York City in Boardman's Bellanca Special J-6 monoplane.
Weighted down by 800 gallons of gasoline, a load of almost 3 tons, are off on the perilous run down the field.
And landed at 1:08 p.m. on July 30th in Istanbul, Turkey.
Well, we own it. We are his children, John's children, and it was presented to him, and one very similar to it, but instead of having an emerald in the center of the propeller, it had a sapphire. It was given to Russell Boardman, and my father and Russell wore these all the time they were in Istanbul. They were presented by Mustafa Kemal Pasha, who was the first alleged democratically elected president of Turkey, and what it did was it initiated relationships between our government, our State Department, and Turkey, which allows us to keep Air Force bases in Turkey today.
Correct.
It's a long-standing history, and it was Ambassador John Grew from Beverly Farms, Massachusetts, was sent over there not too long before this flight occurred, and he sort of paved the way for the whole thing to happen. He met the plane, his daughter and he met the plane at the airport in Istanbul, and that's how we have a presence there, a military presence in Turkey.
That was a distance of 5,011.8 miles. Now that was double, practically, what Charles Lindbergh flew. Charles flew from New York to Paris.
Starting from New York, they streaked northeast. Without pausing at Newfoundland, they swung out over the ocean and a few hours later passed over Ireland. Then on over London, Paris, and the Alps to Istanbul, formerly Constantinople, 49 hours of unbroken flying and a record distance of 5,000 miles.
I mean, they had nothing but guts. The first recorded transatlantic flight since Lindbergh, and more importantly, it did set a new nonstop distance world record. And this, back then, anything to do with aviation, airplanes, whether it was stunts, distance, speed, that all made front page news on all the newspapers. It was really, really big stuff back then. They flew 49 hours and 8 minutes in a single engine airplane that had no comforts, no this, no that. It had nothing in it but as much fuel as they could pack into it. It was stripped of its doors, radios, brakes, lights.
About the air and space continuum, I was sitting with him when they walked on the moon. I was at his house with a reporter from the local newspaper, and he had tears running down his face. And the reporter said to him, "What does this mean to you?" He said, "This is why we did it."
One of his first experiences was volunteering to light wood fires under hot air balloons.
Until he lit one on fire.
Until he lit one on fire. But that's how, so.
When he was a kid.
He loved aviation from that point, lighting fires.
He just wanted to be up there. When he was 17, he was a mechanic and he was test driving someone's car in Lynn, a client's car that he'd worked on. And a man in an airplane made an emergency landing and invited him for a ride, and he left the client's car there and took off, left.
And real pioneers and people who really had a love for aviation and really felt that they wanted to be part of something different. And they pushed the envelope.